Hi, Carrie Parker here with your weekly Human Design Evolution Report. I want to do something a little bit different this week, and I actually want to talk about the month of February, and in particular, I want to talk about the month of February and the energies that we see every February and how those play out into the energy for relationships, because traditionally in February, we're looking at Valentine's Day and the theme of love and relationship comes up. And it's such a weird month to have relationship energy come up. And yet we seem to be putting ourselves through this ringer every single February. We always start February with the energy of intimacy and kind of move from the energy of intimacy, which actually usually ends somewhere around the end of January. And just, we have intimacy until like one day in February, and then boop, we plop into a totally different energy, the energy of the gate 13, which is the energy of looking at the past in its highest expression. We start off February with the capacity to look at the past, to let go of the past, to not use the past as a way of defining ourselves and limiting our identity. It's an energy that oftentimes begs us to do our forgiveness work. So we start February with the energy of forgiveness, and we start February with the energy of really looking at what stories are we telling ourselves, and most importantly, what stories might we be telling about ourselves that are keeping us back from believing in our lovability and our love worthiness. That's how we start February, okay? From there, we move into the 49, the energy for revolution, in particular, revolutions that are around values, value systems that get broken, and principles that get broken. So if we're looking at the past in the hexagram 13, and then we're looking at the energy of revolution, we're looking at all the places in our life where perhaps our reality isn't lining up with the principles that we hold as truth, and then we're creating revolutions, meaning we're drawing a line in the sand and oftentimes walking away. It's the energy for divorce and breakup, which is usually what leads us up into Valentine's Day, right? And then we go from there into the 30, which is called desire, and it's this very intense, very fiery energy. It can be very passionate, but it's also ultimately the energy that is about sustaining a vision of what it is that you really want. But if you did happen to go through a breakthrough, or rather a breakup, if you did start a revolution in your relationship, and maybe it was the kind of revolution that led to a coming apart rather than a deepening of intimacy, which is, by the way, another way to create a revolution, it brings a certain fire and intensity into it. So February, we either come together and we create more intimacy and deeper and richer connections with a lot of intensity and fire, or we break apart with a lot of intensity and fire. So we don't do anything in a half energized way in February. In the middle of the month, we set ourselves on fire with the energy to sustain our desires and the energy to sustain what it is that we want to create. If you did go through the breakup piece, after we have this intense energy, we move to the 55, the energy of abundance in the sun. So we begin to surrender all of our preconceived ideas about what our relationship should be, what our partners should be like, and we move into an allowing state, an energy that says if we let go and we let spirit bring us the next phase of our reality, if we let spirit pick our soulmate instead of making our little, affirmation list, I want him to be tall and dark and have $1 million. If you let that go and you say, okay, you know what, spirit, I give up. I'm not manifesting my soulmate. You create my soulmate. We let go, then we move into a place of peace, and we end the month of February from a place of peace. That energy of peace is also half of the channel of the marriage agreement. So it can be a month when we make big enough decisions, we make cataclysmic choices, where we enter into, with intensity, the capacity to create renewed rules and regulations and principles in our relationships, renewed possibilities for intimacy, renewed possibilities for deepening the agreements that we make in our relationships. But to get there, we have to start the month, and in essence, really, we have to live our lives in such a way that we're not allowing the stories from our past, the fear that the past's going to repeat itself again, that definition about our love worthiness that we sometimes derive from the stories of our past. We can't let those old stories keep us from allowing ourselves to love ourselves first. what the human design chart shows us is that the more you love yourself, the more you attune the magnetic forces in your heart center to draw into your reality the people who will reflect back to you the degree of love you have for yourself. If your old stories about being love worthy are keeping you in a place where you're not loving yourself enough to allow yourself to receive love freely, to attract into your life the people who will love you back as much as you love them, if you're not creating those stories, time to start the beginning of this month right now before things get worse. Time to start rewriting that story immediately. You are lovable. You are designed to be loved for who you are. You are designed to be accepted for who you are. You are a unique and magnificent creature, and there's not another single person like you on this planet. Okay? And because you are who you are worthy of being loved. And however you need to rewrite that story, take the time this weekend, to rewrite that story. Rewrite a story for yourself about how love worthy you are. And most importantly, look at, are there any old stories, old pains, old wounds? Are there any forgivenesses that you have not done that you need to work on so that you can bring yourself back to a new story of the love that you are willing to allow back into your life so that you can create the intimacy, the support, the nurturing, the friendship, whatever it is you need in relationship to support you in expressing the full essence of who you really are. And a relationship or many relationships, however that manifests for you, friendships, partnerships too, that reflect back to you how love-worthy you are. That's your homework for the month of February. Let go of the past, get over the old stuff, do your forgiveness work, don't lock yourself into patterns and stories that are keeping you less than who you really are. Create new rules about the level of intimacy that you are willing to experience. Open your heart back up to be in the full flow, give and take of love and intimacy, and create new partnerships, new agreements, new ideas, and new peace for yourself about how you're going to go out into the world and connect with other human beings. You deserve to be loved, and you are worthy of receiving that love. That's it. It's a weird transit report this week, but think about that this month. We got some powerful eclipses this month to really help you jazz that energy up, to really look at what do you need to let go of, what do you need to release. Don't let yourself settle for less than what you're really worthy of. I will talk to you next week.